Hi everyone. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, depending on the time zone you are at. So on behalf of the IDI, I would warmly like to welcome you all to our today's Sci Innovation Marketplace session. And we will still continue the first months of this new year with the theme we initiated in November last year. So the innovative SAI is going far, which means going flexible, agile, and resilient. And with which we want to frame and highlight what is innovation or being innovative and why it could profit our SAI and SAI stakeholder community, and why we are delighted to hear from our colleagues' experiences on the theme, which we see extremely important at the moment, especially. And today, we continue with exploring how SAIs can adapt innovative practices in their daily operations. And so today, we will hear from the experiences from SAI Brazil on innovation, how to support both organizational and individual innovativeness, and how to tackle some challenges and obstacles that might come along the way. And before I give the floor to our colleagues from Brazil, who are today Ana Cristina, who is Director General of SAI Brazil Corporate School, and Carla, who is Design and Auditor of SAI Brazil's Innovation Lab, and whom you already met in our framing webinar in November. I would still like to highlight a few technical topics to all of you. So as some of you already saw in the chat, so we would like to ask you to fill this like a small questionnaire inquiry, either during now the session or right after this session. And why we ask this, as you open the link which Katarina is providing you in the chat, as we already asked the same questions in our registration, is that in this kind of like a big webinars, many people do register, but then the same people might not join. So for our IDI reporting purposes, it is extremely important to know the gender and the SAIs who were involved. So it's a bit of a work now for you, but it's only 3 really simple questions. So we are really happy if you don't mind filling it. So please use the link Katarina sent to you. And then another thing I would like to highlight is that you are all muted now in the session, so only the presenters will be able to activate their microphones. And that's for everyone's convenience, so that some people do not leave their microphones open and there is not so much background noise. So in case you want to ask some questions, or you have some comments, or you would like to share some of your experiences, please use that function. So during the presentation, you may post some questions or comments, and then after our colleagues from Brazil finish their presentation, we will try to answer as many as possible. And then one last thing, what I would like to remind you is that this session will be recorded. So the chat won't be shared, but like the presentations will be shared and recorded. And now I'm happy to invite Carla and Ana Cristina. So I would like to give the floor to Ana Cristina from SAI Brazil. Please, Ana Cristina.
Hi, are you listening me? Are you listening me?
Yes, we can hear you properly.
Are you view my face or no?
At the moment, we don't see you, but when you opened the microphone, we were able to see your face. But now we hear you at least.
And now, are you seeing me?
No, no, not yet. No video at the moment.
I'm trying to open the video, but
now we can see you, and now we can hear you perfectly.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will say some few words to introduce you, Carla, that will do the presentation. So, good afternoon to all. It's a great pleasure to be here today to introduce such an important topic, innovation in public administration. First of all, it's important to say that the Innovation Lab of SAI Brazil, collab I, was created in 2015 to meet the need to bring innovation to the Federal Court of Accounts. Minister Haroldo Cedrais, president of the court at that time, understood that to make work process, products, and services more efficient was necessary to innovate. So, in this context, the Innovation Lab was created within the structure of Cerzedelo Correia Institute, our corporate university. In the first stage, the focus of action was to solve the Federal Court of Accounts' internal problems and challenges. So, from 2015 until the end of 2018, collab I had the purpose of spreading innovation within SAI Brazil, fostering creativity, encouraging collaboration with focus on people, establishing partnerships, and sharing knowledge. Our products were related to research, communication, networking, capacity building, challenges, design, and Center for High Studies. From 2019 on, the actions turned to the external public, with the objective of contributing in the sense that the public administration can face great challenges using innovation. Nowadays, our products are building from prototypes that arise from the real challenges that are presented to us by public partner institutions. By doing this, we think we are contributing to the country's progress in line with the institution mission to improve public administration for society's benefit. We pride ourselves on being the first control institution to have an innovation lab. Our path has been full of challenges, but also of many victories and achievements. And Carla Mota will show you from now. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you, Ana Cristina. Good afternoon to everyone. As she said, it's a great pleasure to be here with you today. And I thank you, IDI, for the opportunity to talk a little about the experience of an innovation lab in the Supreme Audit Institution of Brazil, and also from the lessons that we have learned. So what would be the 10 steps for innovating? In fact, as Oti said, I have made a teaser of this presentation at the end of November, in which I came up with some questions that I hope I will answer with my today's speech. Okay? As Ana Cristina has already told you, the Innovation Lab inside Brazil was created in 2015 to face a big challenge. In fact, some challenges. First of all, to bring innovation to the institution. That was the demand. So to bring the innovation, because it was important to have services and products redesigned and also in a more efficient way. So the other challenge, big one, would be to survive. And I explain why this challenge here, because every 2 years, a minister takes over the presidency of the institution, and so had this minister who presented us the demand for innovation. Therefore, at the end of this period, we didn't know if the lab would continue to exist in the structure of the institution. So to assure our existence, we knew we had to prove that the innovation adds value to the products and services we were designing or redesigning. But we had still another challenge. And this one, for me, it was a huge one. The biggest one, in fact, is to change the institution culture. And I represented here metaphorically as a hot porridge dish, which demands us to be careful to tackle it from the borders towards the hot center. Let me explain a little bit better. Before I went to the Innovation Lab, I have audited for 19 years. So I know that the auditors are very skeptical, critic, tailored to point out mistakes and also risk averse. So, but for innovating, we have to take risks, and frequently we make mistakes. So this huge challenge was to make people be open to innovation, and we really had to make this in a very careful way. Our first action at the Innovation Lab was to prospect what the organizations worldwide were doing to face a world full of vulnerabilities, uncertainties, complexities, and ambiguities. And what were these organizations doing to face this scenario and to innovate? Well, innovation is always something very demanded, desirable, and common in the field of private companies, startups, and entrepreneurs in general. But does government also need to innovate? I'm sure that the answer to this question is a huge yes. Government has to deal with problems more and more complex, like the ones you see in this slide here. And current existing solutions may not be as effective as they should. So they have to be more creative and produce better solutions for the challenges the world presents every day. This new situation we are living right now with this virus threat, for instance, demands government of all the countries to use creativity and find possible ways to tackle the challenge. What about a supreme audit institution? Does we need to innovate as well? Well, if government is innovating for society good, the supreme audit institutions also should also innovate the way we audit government actions in order to evaluate them properly, checking if they are effectively solving society problems also. We have to review our working process also to deliver better products and service to a more demanding society. Now I bring here a quote from Einstein, and he says, and it fits perfectly with this discussion. He said that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use it to when we create them. In this sense, organizations started to look for a way of thinking that could be adopted to better solve the problems. And they found one that united the desirability from the perspective of the human beings, the viability from an economic point of view, the business one, and the feasibility from the technical view. In the intersection of this triad is where effective solutions and innovation happen, and that's the field of the design. In fact, this is how the designers develop their projects, always beginning, of course, with the desirability, because the designers are focused on the human beings and also their needs and difficulties. People who are dealing with the problems, what are their difficulties, for instance, and what are their needs. So the organizations started to adopt the design area way of thinking to produce the solutions for the challenges, and to disseminate it to professionals of other areas. It was presented in a more didactic way by a process with 5 phases: the empathy, the redefinition of the problem, the ideation, prototyping, and test. It became known as design thinking and is being adopted worldwide to foster innovation and creative ways of solving problems. Therefore, we decided to adopt the design thinking also in our lab. And among others, this is the SAI Brazil representation of it, of the design thinking. It's like a flower. But more important than following each of its phases is to embrace its principles. First of all, the actions have to be human-centered, that is, focused on the needs and difficulties, the pains people feel when dealing with the problems that has to be solved. The second principle is to build the solutions in a collaborative way, engaging the various actors involved with the problems or others that somehow could contribute to the solution. And last one, but not least, the need to prototype the solution generated before implementing it widely, in order to know beforehand if it attends people's needs and really solve the problem. This measure is especially important to assure cost efficiency, as enables the organizations spend the available budget with a solution already tested and also improved by the feedbacks received. As Ana Cristina informed, during the lab's first phase, the focus was internal, and we decided we should define a strategy to spread innovation inside Brazil. Our first action, this was a strategy. We thought about lots of actions to put this strategy online. So our first action was to learn with others, with other labs also in private and public organizations, to know about their experience in innovating, and also with an expert on the subject, Professor Rivadavia Drummond. We also found it very important to classify our audience according to the diffusion of innovation model. This model points out that the early adopters are nearly 13% of the whole group. These are the ones with whom we should begin to work, as they are more open to adopt new things and that are being proposed. And in doing so, they will make the achievements public, and also they will show the results of the approach adopted. So they are a very important part of our audience, our clients, let's say so. So we mapped the early adopters, and in our institution, the ones who love innovating, or that ones who had a big challenge to which they was not finding a good solution. So that's why I call them the early adopters by love or by pen. we began to work with these early adopters in their projects. And this one on these photos here in the slide was designing a new way of selecting the subjects for the audits. Our team was always very, very small, and therefore we knew we could not centralize the innovation initiatives. So we decided also to disseminate the design thinking approach so that people could apply it in their projects. We trained approximately 150 people inside Brazil. And it was a wonderful experience to see people developing actions using the design thinking principles. Another good strategy usage was to identify and show people inside Brazil examples of the design thinking being recommended worldwide. And we made this through the report of successful actions and guides of how to develop them. Also, we began to write articles for our internal newspaper in a weekly column about innovation in order to provide people with information about the subject. We formed also a network of governmental bodies for support, dissemination of good practices, and lessons learned. Among other actions, we have been promoting an annual event to get together and always sharing our experience and what we are making to foster innovations also, and to learn a lot from them. It was also necessary to produce a toolkit of the design thinking tools and to make it available to everyone who would like to innovate. This material is in our website in the address written in this slide here below. And also there is the Spanish version of this toolkit on OLACEF's site, okay? Also, another strategy we adopted, it was via a letter of agreement with Nesta. We have translated into Portuguese and Spanish a guide very useful about the use of design thinking in public sector to support the development of public policies and government services. The other one, the skills, attitudes, and behaviors that fuel public innovation, is still being translated by us, but we will probably be launching it still in the first semester of this year. As it is not always possible to use all the design thinking phases in all the actions, we start implementing them using at least its principles and tools. And this is what we started to call brush strokes of design thinking. And this is what we started to do. And this was also a very good way of disseminating the design thinking approach inside the side of Brazil. Besides the use of design thinking in our lab in collab, we have also actions of data analysis. We have other actions. So data analytics is a big one also. We did, for instance, data mining, courses of deep learning, and the introduction of artificial intelligence use. Another very important action in our lab was to support the introduction of geotechnologies in audits by the use of drones and satellite images to support the fiscalization of big public works such as highways construction. We also institute a committee formed by society experts and promote meetings with them so that they could contribute to our work, pointing out the big society questions and the demands also. This action was very important to avoid self-referencing. That's something we always are afraid of. Now we are going to talk about the second phase of our collab, of our innovation lab, and as Ana Cristina has told, the focus in this second phase was the public administration. So, to identify how we could help them, it was necessary to know their needs. So the government surely has complex problems that demand more effective solutions, and some of them are transversal, involving several areas or bodies of governmental bodies. The government is not used also to innovate, especially because this demands a paradigm change. The focus has to be on the problem and not on the object that will be hired. So, in order to have more impact, we decided to choose a transversal challenge, and it has also to do with our business innovation. So we defined this challenge as how might we contribute to public administration to hire innovative solutions for the society's needs efficiently and effectively, considering current legislation. So, to deeply understand the problem we are facing, we made a research and ran a workshop also involving public managers, people from market, startups, and control entities in order to listen to them and learn what were their difficulties, their pains when dealing with the hire of innovative solutions by the government. We learned that the instruments for innovation hire were not well known as well, and so they are not used. Also, there are very few cases of innovation hiring, and therefore the subject suffers of lack of jurisprudence. Because of these two facts, public managers do not feel safe to hire innovation. They get afraid of being held responsible for hiring innovation, as the procedure is very different from usual public purchase that they are very used to do. And so, and this usual public purchase have lots of jurisprudence. So in these cases, they feel more comfortable in doing them and hiring in this model. The problem so was reframed as we noticed that the center of it was the fear of public managers when adopting a procedure they were not secure. For this problem redefined, was generated a solution that Brazil and other country control entities should stay closer to public managers during the process of hiring innovation when using instruments for the first time. Of course, we cannot be close to them all the time, but for in specific situations when we feel that we can contribute and that this will be a progress in the innovation hiring. Well, to prototype this solution, we looked for a governmental institution that was willing to hire innovation using an existing instrument not well known by public administration. Fortunately, we found the Brazilian Space Agency that wanted to hire the development of an inertial navigation system. So 4 prototypes for this inertial navigation system, and they would like to use what we call the Encomenda Tecnológica, which is an instrument, a brand new instrument developed by Brazilian government, inspired by the pre-commercial procurement of USA and the public procurement of innovation of United Kingdom. So this new instrument here in Brazil, the Encomenda Tecnológica, was the instrument chosen by the Brazilian Space Agency to hire this innovation. It's just a component of the rocket they intend to launch someday. From this experience, we produced 5 documents. The first one of them, the first one, describes each of the instrument phases, the legislation applied, the step-by-step procedure, some of the risks already identified, because we make some workshops also with those control entities, and we identified some of the risks in this procedure. Some points also of evaluation by audits, the good practices, and also lessons learned along the procedure. The third document, the second one, the second one is about the how to make the risk management that should be made throughout the procedure, the whole procedure. So this second document is about this risk evaluation. The third one is the document provides a proposal for action by the control bodies when examining the procedures, including a board comparing the usual type of hirings with the instrument, the new instrument, the Encomenda Tecnológica, emphasizing its peculiarities. And this is, I think it will be very useful when auditing the hiring, the innovation hirings made using this specific type of instrument. Well, the fourth document describes how the project as a whole was developed. And the last one is about the negotiation phase of the instrument. We have just launched it. We have not here its photo, but it's a very important part. The negotiation is a very important part of this kind of hiring, and therefore deserves a special attention and a special document also. Although through the slides we have already showed some results of our innovation lab, I will show other main results during our 6th year of existence right now. First of all, it's important to register that the strategies adopted were successful, and so we are staying alive, surviving the 4th management change. due also to the internal and external recognition of the work we are doing that adds value to the projects we are engaged to. So we survive it, okay. Also, another measure of success is the growing demand for services and help of our lab in several actions in the institution. And now, as lots of people can already adopt the design thinking approach in their projects, we are being more dedicated to mentoring actions. Regarding the project involving the hiring of innovative solutions that I just mentioned of the spatial agency, Brazilian Spatial Agency, it's very good to see the smooth progress of their hiring. It's been a success also. And it's also very rewarding to see that institutions, other institutions of the federal public administration are using our documents. For instance, Petrais, which is a governmental enterprise that explore projects and projects oil and gas, the Brazilian Navy, and the Ministry of Health that is hiring right now the development and the purchase of COVID-19 vaccine. So this is a huge achievement also for us. Other collabs results, we can mention the projects developed and products and services redesigned inside Brazil. We did countless collaborative workshops for producing alignments, for making decisions, for developing team sections, promoting top management meetings, planning actions, annual actions, and so on. There are so many that I could not mention all of them. Once I'm graduated also in design thinking, before beginning to work inside Brazil, I have worked auditing for many years, and it was natural to find several similarities in both activities. So as a consequence, I began to identify design thinking tools that could help audits and their challenges. My experiences in auditing showed me that the way we did reference panels to validate planning and finding matrices these events were underutilized and could be improved. So I created a collaborative workshop using design think tools to run these panels. I ran several of these workshops, getting very positive feedbacks about their results, which increased the demand for these events also. So, stimulated by these positive results, I finished recently a work proposing the adoption of design thinking tools during the whole audit process, to facilitate the work and also to make it more effective. So this is the representation of the audit working process using design thinking tools proposed in this work. From the lessons we have learned during these 6 years of existence, and by the way, last year was the anniversary of our creation, I will present now the 10 steps needed for the ones who want to innovate. Of course, from our point of view, okay? So, what is needed to innovate? So, to begin, I bring up the sponsorship. although I put it in the first place, perhaps because our lab was created for having a sponsor, the president minister who demanded us to bring innovation to institution. Okay, having sponsorship opened several doors to us, and it was really a huge help. Nevertheless, I really don't think this is the most important step towards innovating. The second one, yes, this is a big one, is to have a collaborative team, preferably composed by people with different backgrounds and repertoire, committed to work, creative, as we all are, yes, we are, and willing also to get things done. That's a big step. For me, it's a very big step towards the innovation. The third one is the inspiration that we can get from experts on innovation and making benchmarkings with other institutions that are innovating in order to learn with them which were their lessons learned in this process also. What are their steps also, which were their hazards also, and after all, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can start using these people advices to have more quickly results with our actions. Of course, we can count on also the experts in the area, in the innovation area. That's a very important thing to do also. The fourth step, oh my goodness. Don't know why it's not going. Oh. Oti, could you please help me passing the slides now? I don't know, I'm not succeeding in doing this.
Yeah, sure, I will help. So would you like to be now in the fourth or in the fifth?
In the fourth, please.
Okay, perfect, yeah. It's here, it's there now.
Yes, I cannot see. Don't know the problem, if I have a problem of connection right now. But the slide is in the fourth step, okay?
Yes.
So the fourth step is the capacity building. This is a huge measure as people become enabled to use the recommended dissemination of innovative approaches. So it's very, very important to make this action. Another one, so the step 5 relates to the identification of the early adopters, as I have already told you. These people are always eager to innovate and are the ones who will give the initial kick to innovation and show the other people the results of their action. So they will help us with the first cases to our portfolio. So very important also. The step 6 is to have a safe environment where people will feel free and comfortable to innovate. Usually in innovation labs, there are colorful furniture, post-its, glass walls where we can write on them. Plants also, it makes the environment more comfortable and friendly also. And even some peanuts and candies to provide energy to bright ideas. The 7th step is the need to communicate the actions and their results also, so that everyone in the institution can see what is being made in the innovation lab or the innovation actions, and realize how the lab can help them with their own challenges. So it's a very important step, because we have then an opportunity to also disseminate how we work and how we can help the whole institution. The number 8 step stands for partnership, and it can be very useful to establish partnerships in order to have others' abilities to help us, especially in the beginning of the lab's activities, and to also to accelerate the results, as we will be able to count on these other people abilities. Another important step, and we are already coming to our end, is to accept the errors. That's a very, very big challenge for us auditors. The mistakes are part of the innovation process, and we have to embrace them. We have to understand that they are part of the process, and so there's no problem in making mistakes. And there is a quote of Thomas Edison that illustrates this step. He said that he has not failed. He has not failed. He just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So this is something we have still to learn, to embrace these mistakes, these useful mistakes, because make mistakes, we make mistakes more quickly. We can also improve things more quickly. And now the last step, the step 10, to introduce this step, for me is the most important one. I bring this scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, this episode, very interesting. I don't know if everyone has seen this film, but has watched this film. But when he comes to the end of a path inside a mountain, he realized that he has to get to the other side of it. But there was a big gap between them. Then he reminded what his father has told him, and he told him to believe. And he decided to take this leap of faith, and that is what I ask you also to do, to have attitude, to take one step and you will see that innovation is possible, that the path is always there for the ones who believe it is possible. For this, I make now a call to action, and like us inside Brazil Innovation Lab, to bring brush strokes of design thinking to all of your actions. And how we make this? Simple. Just use its principle and mindsets and some of their tools also, which are the most important thing of design thinking. So first of all, be human-centered, getting to understand people's needs, difficulties, and expectations. Build solutions in a collaborative way, engaging several people with different backgrounds and way of thinking. And then test the ideas generated before implementing it in large scale, avoiding waste of avoiding waste of resources, and also aiming cost efficiency. We did this brush strokes, applying lots of design thinking tools and mindsets to countless actions. This brush strokes painted a huge painting. I know that the whole picture is big. It requires some dedication, effort, and faith. But when you get close to it, you will notice that it's made by brush strokes. And so, thank you very much for your attention. I leave you now with this quote about the man in the arena by Theodore Roosevelt, a previous USA president, that it's to emphasize that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. Thank you so much, and I'm ready to answer any questions there you may have. Thank you very much. Jade?
Thank you so much, Carla. It was a very enjoyable presentation, and love your slides as always, such beautiful pictures. One of the questions that has come up, just to start with, is about the institutional position of the collab. So could you say, is it like a department or is it a separate organization within the SAI, and how many people are working in it?
Yes, so it's a department in the structure of the SAI Brazil. In fact, inside our corporate school. So it's it belongs to the structure of SAI Brazil. It's not something outside the structure. And we have a very small team for the design area. There are just 2 people acting in this the design thinking application, and so for the data and analytics, just 1 person, and for the higher that group, the higher study, the committee, just 1 person. So our team are made of just 6 people.
I found it very interesting to hear about so much that you've done, particularly where you were comparing the innovative solution to the previous solution, and this almost scientific method to evaluate your work, which was lovely to see. If I just have a look at some of the questions. We have one from CyberAin. So has the lab come up with innovative solutions to increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of the audits carried out by Cyberzel?
Yeah. First of all, we started to introduce some of the design thinking tools and also the mindset of design thinking by running that workshops. I developed that collaborative workshops in order to make the panels, the reference panel, to validate planning and finding matrices. So this was the start to initiating the introduction of some of the design thinking tools in audit. And now I just finished the last year a work proposing to introduce other tools, other design thinking tools during the whole process of auditing. So we are just now, if Cyberzel thinks that will be useful, I will then give a course of how to do this. So now we are just in this moment of putting down, writing down how people can do the workshops like I do, because for the time being, just me am doing this in Brazil. So it's important to disseminate this way of doing the reference panel, and then also some other points during the auditing process.
I think it's was very interesting to hear about your work with design thinking last year. And when we make the slides and the recordings available, we can also make the link available to people who want to know more about design thinking. But I think, yes.
Just one thing. I just closed my presentation, but I think it would be nice if Oti could put again the last sliding, the last slide, because I think that there is our site, our website, yes. For the ones who would like to go there and read a little bit more about our actions. Thanks, Oti. Thanks a lot. Okay, sorry, Jade.
No, that's great. Thank you. I think also we're very interested in these 10 steps to innovation that you have. So based on your experience, which do you think are the most challenging of the 10 steps?
The most challenging. Oh, what a good question. Well, I think the most challenging and the most important one is really the last one I presented. It's that first step, that faith, the leap of faith of Indiana Jones, like it, because we think that people are always afraid that they won't be understood, that people will not be opened to innovate, that they will not be how can I say, they will not be willing to adopt, for instance, innovative approaches, but they are not right. No, they are not right, because people are more open than we thought when we can think. So it's very important to have the courage and propose, and to give the first the first step, that is the attitude. It's the and so you will see that you can go ahead and then give other steps. So for me, the first one, it's the inertial. It's something that it's physic. You can understand that the first movement is the hardest one. So if
Yes.
you can go out, can be out of the inertial state, then everything goes more smooth,
Yes.
smoother, and
I can really
easier also.
need that kind of that first push, that first belief to be able to try new things. Have you seen problems with this idea that you should be able to fail? Is there a issue?
Yes, I think that
are people willing to take this step to fail, that may fail?
yeah, I can speak by myself, by my experience. I was horrified of making mistakes during this 6 years of innovation lab, because we're always in the frontier of the knowledge in these innovations labs. So it's something that it really is, makes us afraid of making mistakes. So, but we cannot let this this feeling getting our rational side,
Yes.
because it's possible, and we know that continuously doing what we are doing, we can feel more secure. We have more results also, that reinforces the right way we are walking. So keep walking. That's the message. Also, don't be afraid, and also don't let this feeling, this negative feeling, get in your way.
Thank you. There was also a question that you were mentioning targeting public managers. Could you say a little bit more about your targeting and the groups you're working with?
Sorry, I don't know if I understood.
I think the question is that you were mentioning targeting public managers with your suggestions for innovation. And I know that you've been working with these different groups. You talked about the early adopters and then bringing different people in. So could you say a little bit more around these groups that you work with the early adopters and those who join later and so on?
Okay. For instance, when we started to make this workshops, for instance, we invited lots of public managers, because they are our auditees. So it's very important to have them with us, and also in order to develop also the empathy between auditors and auditees, and vice versa, and the other side around also, because when we get together in a lighter way than in an audit, we can make this happen, this empathy happen, because we can understand the pain of each other, the pains, the difficulties of each other, and this is a huge gain for us, because we can be more comprehensive. We can understand them better also, because we only point out their mistakes, their errors, their irregularities, their responsibilities. But it's important also to know and to understand the challenges they face, and what are their difficulties that they have to face every day to make that happen. So it's very important. It has been a very very rich experience to, and they are always so pleased, so grateful to be with us in these workshops, in these meetings. They are really surprised also with this approach, this this closer approach, and also when because we give them the voice, we listen to them, and we listen to them, especially the recommendations they have to improve our work. And and it's very, very important to be humble also. I think the design thinking, making this step of the empathy, makes us also be more humble, and to listen to people in an active way.
I think that's really useful and a really important point about empathy. I think we just have at the moment one last question, which was about your data analytics. So this question came from Indonesia, and they're curious about the people in your data analytics team, because you only have one person in your lab. So how do you manage the workload of this person where you have many auditors who may be making demands on them or wanting help with different audits? Or...
Yeah, we also, as also the team is very, very very small, just one person for this area. Then we also decided to have building capacity actions, build capacity, the courses about, for instance, machine learning. We had some classes of machine learning, and this is how we did, how we make it possible, for instance, also to identify the auditors who has already some experience and some capacity of dealing with data, and the others that don't have any experience. And then we identifying these groups, we have managed to give them training for them to be more to have success in implementing data analytics in their own challenges, in their own audits. And also we have other departments inside Brazil that also helps the audits in this area, in the data analytics also. So it was with capacity building for these different groups, depending on the experience they have, the knowledge they have with data and with data using, and also when we need also, there are other parts of other sectors, of other departments of Brazil that can help also with this during the audits. But surely the capacity, we have also a post-graduation in data analytics inside Brazil. This was addressed for the ones who has more experience and more knowledge also with dealing with data. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Jade. Okay, Jade.
I think there's interesting question come in, which is for those size that don't have a unit such of collab or something separate in their size, do you have any advice for the audit team on innovation on their own or within their team?
Yes, I think that it's not the problem not having a structure, a lab, innovation lab. You can still adopt some innovative approach, such as design thinking. You can knowing how to make the use of this approach, you can start to apply in your projects and your actions. There's no need to have a innovation lab in order to innovate. That's a very interesting question, and now I'm thinking about perhaps that's why I didn't put this condition as a step to innovate. Just now I realized this, because I really, and yes, I really believe that it's not the most important part of innovating. You don't have to have a structure or a team specially created to innovate. No, you can innovate just taking that first step, that leap of faith, and start to adopt an innovative approach and go ahead. That's my message for the one who asked about this.
I think that's a really useful kind of message from this whole thing. As you've been going through and looking at the different steps for innovation, I can really see that those steps will apply to very small innovations as well as very big innovations, and that sometimes we can really make a difference with those small changes that we can make when we apply those steps. And sometimes thinking about this from our own point of view as individuals, as auditors, rather than waiting for it to come from outside, can be really very useful.
Yes, really, I agree with you. I think it's something that you can disseminate, disseminate the innovation, showing your results. So I think it's just like that little hummingbird that take a little bit of water in that burning forest.
Yes, and I think also when we look at small innovations, sometimes it's easier for us to have that risk of failure because it's something small in one team and then we can share it later with the ones that succeed. So I think it's really useful advice. Yes. Okay, so I think we can thank you for your brilliant presentation and again for your support with IDI and for sharing your experiences. As Oti said at the beginning, the IDI marketplace events will continue and we will have some more information on when the next events are coming soon. We have a couple in the pipeline that are still in this series, and then next year or 2021 series will be focusing on innovation for impact. So as soon as we have the more events organized, we will write you and let you know when they are. But there's some really exciting things coming up in this series. So thank you again, everybody, for attending. And it's really nice to have so many people here and to be able to discuss these issues. And thank you again, Carla and Brazil, for supporting us in this.
Oh, thank you so much. I really, I'm very honored to be here with you once again, and thank you IDI for this huge opportunity to talk about a little bit of our experience. I will make my presentation available, and also if there is any other question that I could not answer, or if you have later on other questions, I am available to answer. Please email me. In the last slide you have my email, my personal email also. And thanks so much for your attention, everyone here in the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla.